one team. One dream. One fan.
30, 20, 10, touchdown Miami! One, two, three.
Hello, Miami Dolphins fans. How are you today? And thank you for listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast on this Sunday, March the 1st. I'm your host, Mike Oliva, flying solo today, as we got a lot of stuff to talk about in the world of the Miami Dolphins. I didn't think I'd end up having to do a show this weekend, but since late Friday through this morning, there's been a lot of news, a lot of reports. There's a lot of stuff to go over. So here I am, and we're going to talk about it all on today's show. Before we get to that, let's get to the business stuff out of the way first. This show is brought to you by Caneswear. Everyone go to the website caneswear.com for the best and most affordable Miami Dolphins apparel on the internet. If you need something for the Miami Dolphins, the Florida Panthers, the Miami Hurricanes, the Heat, the Marlins, caneswear.com, caneswear.com, caneswear.com. They ship internationally. Their prices beat the prices at most of the larger websites that sell stuff. So always go to caneswear.com first. For anything you might need for the Miami Dolphins, hat, hoodie, t-shirt, polo, sweatpants, something for the home, car, office, caneswear.com. This also want to give a shout out to one listen live at the I Am a Miami Dolphins fan Facebook page, run by the great Carlos Hernandez. If you're on Facebook, please be sure you are a part of the I Am a Miami Dolphins fan Facebook page. And if you're watching right now on YouTube, do me a favor and smash that like button. Smash it. Put a comment in the comment section below. Be respectful, but you can put up a comment. And if you're watching this live, leave us a super chat. Leave me a super chat, I should say. And it could be a comment. It can be a question. It could be a topic you want me to talk about. And before the end of the show, I will read that super chat on the air. All right. Friday afternoon, the NFL announced the new salary cap for 2026. What the number is, it was a $22 million jump over last year's salary cap, and it is now set for 2026 at $301.2 million. And with that now being official, that's the cap for 2026. It kind of gives some clarity to the Miami Dolphins to where they are today and where they would be moving forward with any trades and cuts, whether post-June 1st, pre-June 1st, all that good stuff. So right now, today on March 1st, the Miami Dolphins are under the cap, but they're less than $1 million under the cap at $772,000. Obviously, not a lot of money, not enough to sign too many guys here in free agency. They got work to do, but they are under the cap heading into the new league year as of today. So that is good, because on March 9th, which is pretty much a week away on Monday, that begins the legal tampering period. Then on March 11th, that is the official start of the new league year at 4 p.m. So next Monday, not this Monday, next Monday, they're going to be able to start talking to players. So they want to talk to any players, and they're going to need salary cap space. So here are some likely moves we are going to see in the next week or two or three. Look, they just have to be under the cap by March 11th. But if they want to sign anybody, they probably have to make a few of these moves to open up salary cap space. And some of these are no-brainers. Some of them is going to be a little painful. Like, I don't want to see him go, but kind of makes sense from where they are from a financial standpoint. Number one, the Miami Dolphins will cut Jason Sanders, and it opens up roughly $4 million in salary cap space. I know Jason Sanders is a fan favorite. I know some might say I'd rather trust Sanders over Riley Patterson. I get it. And I understand that point, but the point is the Miami Dolphins are in a salary cap crisis right now, and Riley Patterson is far cheaper than Jason Sanders. So if they move on from Sanders, that's $4 million in salary cap space that they desperately need. So I believe Jason Sanders will be cut here in the next week or so. Now, look, they could drag it out and let him go like in late March or in April, I guess. But if you're going to move on from him anyways, like, why wait? So I think Jason Sanders' time in Miami is probably coming to an end. The next one is a guy who I'm going to hate to see go, because I like him as a person, and I think he's a pretty good player, but he's a fullback. If the Miami Dolphins cut Alec Ingold, that opens up roughly $3 million in salary cap space. And you have to wonder, new offensive system, sort of kind of with Bobby Slowick. It's going to be a lot of similarities with Mike McDaniel, but Slowick's going to put his own spin on this here. You want to spend $3 million on a fullback? You can probably play a tight end there as like an H-back. You can go out there and find a fullback. You can get one, maybe a UDFA, really cheap. You can get one, you can find one, who will be far less than $3 million. So I think Alec Ingold as well might have played his final game as a member of the Dolphins. This next one's a little bit trickier because it's a player who I think Miami kind of needs. But again, the salary cap crisis kind of will dictate what they do. And that is Tyrell Dotson, the linebacker. You move on from Tyrell Dotson, it opens up roughly $3 million in salary cap space. $4 million here, $3 million here, $3 million there. Starts to add up after a while. And these are guys where, yeah, you're going to miss them. You'd rather hold on to them. But, Tyrell Dotson, is he in your long-term plans for 2027, 2028 and beyond? I don't think so. So if the Dolphins want to open up more salary cap space there, I kind of get it. That's a hefty chunk of change. $3 million can, that can sign you a couple guys there. So those are some releases. I think Jason Sanders, Alec Ingold, Tyrell Dotson, stuff to keep an eye on. Minkah Fitzpatrick, obviously, John Eric Sullivan at his media session this past week at the Combine spoke about him. And if they move on from Minkah, whether a cut or a trade pre-June 1st, it gives them roughly $6 million in cap space. Now, that's a real healthy amount. And it sounds like Miami's kind of made their peace that they're going to move on from him one way or another. I would think he has trade value. Minkah's still a very good player. His contract is very team-friendly, although the team trading for him probably going to have to give him an extension and make some of the money guaranteed this year. So, but I think Minkah's gone. And again, they have to like April for that one, really, because that one you're going to take right up to the draft, I think, hoping some team will part with a pick. We'll see. And I think he is a tradable guy because he still plays. He was outstanding this past season. He still plays at a very high level. He's just turning 30, I believe. So there's that. And plus, here's a report that will probably annoy some Dolphins fans, but in reality, who cares? That's kind of how I see it. Longtime New York Jets reporter Rich Cimini, and he is tied into the Jets as much as any reporter in the New York City beat. He's been doing this forever. He has great sources. He says, keep an eye on the Jets trading for Minkah Fitzpatrick. So if the Jets want to send Miami a draft pick for Minkah, I ain't saying no. Now, usually, if both teams are good, that's a different story. We can't trade him to someone inside the AFC East, a rival. But in this case, both teams look to be so bad on paper. Like, if they want to give us a draft pick, I'll take their draft pick. In what round, I don't know. Probably a fourth. You might be able to get a third. Jets are stockpiled with picks this year and next year with all the trades they made last year at the trade deadline. So they got picks to move. I have no problem trading Minkah to the Jets at all. Now, he might not be happy there. I don't see Minkah being someone who's going to enjoy the weekly grind of the New York City media. But that's his problem, I guess. So, yeah, Minkah, $6 million there. So just with those moves, those are 4 moves. You got $6 million with Minkah, $4 million with Sanders, put you to 10, $3 million with Alec Ingold, $3 million with Dotson, put you at 16. You just opened up $16 million. What are you really losing? Minkah on the field is by far the best player, but you're also losing a fullback, a kicker who you already have a replacement for, and a linebacker who's okay. So those are some moves there. Now, the Bradley Chubb one gets interesting because they've already informed Chubb he's been let go, but they haven't announced if it's pre-June 1st or post-June 1st. Everyone assumes it's post-June 1st, and I still think it will be post-June 1st, but here's where the Dolphins here's what they're probably contemplating. If they move on from Chubb pre-June 1st, they get $7 million of salary cap space to use right now, next week, in March. And again, John Eric Sullivan said he's going to be conservative. He doesn't want to, spend money this year. Or, he wants to sort of, get the salary cap situation to a healthy spot, and he wants to build through the draft. But if they're in on a certain quarterback, which we're going to talk later on this show, they might want that $7 million of salary cap space to use right now. Because if you do it post June 1st, you get $20 million in salary cap space, but you can't use it until June 2nd. So we're going to see. I still think he's a post June 1st cut, but I'm not going to slam the door. Which I know is one thing a lot of fans of the Dolphins do. They like to slam the door on things. I'm not going to slam the door on him being a pre-June 1st release because that does give him $7 million of salary cap space to use right now in March. We'll see. So again, if Miami did all those things, pre-June 1st, including Chubb, that gives them what? You got 7 million, 6 is 13, 13 and what? 6 is 19. It gives them just around 20 million, 21 million or so in salary cap space to use right now. Just doing math off my head. I'm not saying 23 million, my bad. 23 million in salary cap space to use right now in March. So, and that's before you do anything where you might restructure Waddle, where they might restructure Zach Sealer, where they might look to restructure Austin Jackson to open up salary cap space. So you could, the one for Chubb I still think is going to be post-June 1st. I think you get 20 million post-June 1st. You can sign your rookie class and you can have some salary cap space to carry over into next year. I think that's still the best option with Chubb, but they don't have to. So there's that. Now, more salary caps can be made by restructuring players and extending them. And there was an ESPN report today with Dan Graziano and Jeremy Fowler. And Dan Graziano said Miami will work on extensions for Jordan Brooks, Aaron Brewer, and Devon Achane. And in the case of Jordan Brooks and Aaron Brewer, that would probably lower their 2026 salary cap number and open up cap space this year. Achane, because he was a third-round pick, he's still on his rookie deal. Less of an issue because he makes so little money this year. But for Jordan Brooks and Aaron Brewer, that might be a priority because that would give them would give Miami some more salary cap space right now. So we'll keep an eye on that. Now, John Eric Sullivan, when he met with the media at the Combine on Tuesday at his press conference, said any extension talk would probably be worked out in the summer months. And that still might be the case. But again, Brooks and Brewer, if there's a guy that Miami wants and they don't have the cap space now, I could see him, well, the plan was this summer, but we had to get this done now because we had to sign this guy now and bring him in. So we'll see. But it sounds like those three guys are going to be staying in Miami here. Of course, with Achane, he did say if the right offer came, he would trade him. But I think with Jordan Brooks and Aaron Brewer, those guys are probably not going to be tradable pieces. I think those are guys he wants to keep. And for obvious reasons, Jordan Brooks was outstanding in 2025. He was a first-team All-Pro. He had 183 tackles, 13 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks. He was Miami's best defensive player week in and week out this whole season on a bad season. And he was a vocal leader of this team as well, which is something that's really hard to replace, especially when you're going to have a very, very young team, a lot of first-year and second-year players. You need a vocal leader. You need a real grown-ass man sort of as a captain, but a vocal captain. Brooks fills that role very good. Achane, sensational. He was voted to his first Pro Bowl this past year, ran for 1,350 yards in 16 games, 8 rushing touchdowns, led the NFL, 5.7 yards per carry. That's not counting 67 receptions, 488 yards, 4 more receiving touchdowns, cemented himself as Miami's best offensive player in 2025. Now, with Achane's deal, he's going to get paid. And the general thought process here has been that he's going to get a deal similar to what James Cook got with the Bills last offseason, which, off the top of my head, it was in the neighborhood of 4 years for $48 million, $30 million fully guaranteed. Achane, each year those go up slightly. So maybe it's 4 years, $50 million, 32 with $32 million guaranteed, something like that. It's going to be in that neighborhood of probably what James Cook got most likely. So he's going to get paid. But again, he was Miami's best offensive player. And unless a trade comes in, here's the only way they're going to trade Achane, a first-round pick. And I don't know many teams that would part with a first-round pick for Achane. Now, I can think of 2. One is Houston, because they don't even have a quality running back on their roster. I think they're picking like 28th or somewhere down there. 26 or 20, I can't remember off the top of my head. They're somewhere down there, though, late 20s. Houston, I could absolutely see if they really wanted him. And if they offered a first-round pick, I would send Achane to Houston. The other team, which became interesting today because they announced they're going to release Aaron Jones, is Minnesota, who I don't know if they have another running back really on their roster, and I think they're picking like 19th. Those are, I mean, I guess some other team could come in, but I'm not trading him for a second and a fourth or a second. I'm only trading Achane for a first. And if a team wants to part with the first, I'll take it. But that's the only way I'm trading them, because I think Miami, if you get a first, you still got Wright, who played really good at the end of last year. Ollie Gordon as a rookie had moments where he looked really good. Like, it sucks that you're going to lose him, but that you still have, that's the one position on a team where they have depth, running back. So, yeah, it would stink to lose Achane, but you got two other guys, relatively young, making almost no money on their rookie deals. Ollie Gordon was what, a 5th round pick, 6th round pick, I believe, 6, right? Yeah, 6. And Wright was what, a 4th? Yeah, or a 3rd. Either way. They have guys there. And with that other pick in round 1, you might be able to get an offensive tackle, you might be able to get an edge rusher, you might be able to get a whoever, because they need help. They need help everywhere. A wide receiver who can come in and start right away. So yeah, so that's the thing with him. Now, Aaron Brewer, he was Miami's best offensive lineman in 2025. He was voted 2nd team All-Pro. He was only called for 3 holding penalties and 2 false starts. That ain't a lot. He was exceptional this past year. And in 2024, he was called for 5 holdings and 1 false start. So, I mean, this guy almost never gets called for penalties, very rarely. Again, the anchor of that offensive line. So, yeah, it makes sense to extend them, open up cap space. But that's where Miami is from a salary cap space perspective. Again, expect Sanders gone, Ingold gone, Tyrell Dotson, I'll say probably gone, but they could hold on to him, but probably gone. Minka, he's going to be gone, and keep an eye on the Jets, I guess. They want to trade for him. Go for it. And then with Chubb, probably post June 1st. So there's ways to make some money here. And again, I don't think they're going to be crazy active in free agency, but it would be nice to have a little bit of money to play with in March. Post June 1st, that stuff's great, but, free agency is essentially over, and those are your guys who are like, look, final year in the NFL, 1-year deals, the older guys who are just looking for a home. That's not what Miami needs. Miami's a younger team. So if they want to sign, even if it's just 1 or 2 guys, and I think, I know Sullivan said when he met with the media this past week, he's looking for role players. He's not looking for, big price, big ticket items. So just a few role players. In March, you sign them, you kind of have a little bit of money. So I think some of those moves are probably likely. All right. Tua, I got to talk Tua because his contract. Look, here's the deal. By March 14th, sometime between today, and March 14th, Tua Tagovailoa will not be on the Miami Dolphins roster. He has to be off because on the 3rd day of the new league year is when he is due some more money. So he has to be off the team by March 14th. So we're like under 2 weeks here with Tua on the roster. And since we're talking money, let's talk his, because we're getting clarity there as well. Because Miami's, I think I said on the show at the end of last week, they got 4 options, and it's becoming crystal clear the option they're going to do. Michael Giannetti of Spotrac, the great website. He's a co-founder of Spotrac. He's been doing this for many, many years. He expects the most likely outcome with Tua is they're going to exercise a $15 million option in his contract that is a bonus, and that will have Miami carry $56.2 million of dead cap hit into June. Then once you get to June 1st, the cap hit goes down to $55.4 million this year, and in 2027, $43.8. That is the most realistic thing that they're going to do, the Dolphins, because 55.4 this year, well, it stinks, is manageable, I guess, and only 43.8 next year is also somewhat manageable. Because if they just do a post-June 1st cut and don't pick up that option, the dead cap hit this year is 67.2, and then next year it's only 32. But 55.4 this year is way better than 67.2. So that's why you're going to pick up that option there in his contract, and he'll be off the team by the 3rd day of the new league year. But this is going to go down, and this is history, folks. This will be the single largest dead cap hit in NFL history. That's how bad his contract was, that Mike McDaniel and Chris Greer convinced the owner to give to Tua. That's how bad it is. It will go down as the single season largest dead cap hit in NFL history. And by picking up the option and only taking, again, $56.2 million of that will be like in March, April, May, June. Then when you get to June, it goes down to 55.4 million in dead cap. Again, that's real numbers crunching, Brandon Shore world of how the league is set up and how contracts are set up. But 55.4 million of dead money this year. And what that does for Tua, which I know nobody cares about, what that does for Tua is, because he's getting paid still from Miami, when he's a free agent, whoever he signs with, there's been rumors Atlanta wants him. There's been rumors, Arizona might have interest. There's been rumors the Jets might have interest. Those teams would only have to pay him 1.2.1 million this year because the bulk of the money is coming from Miami. So Tua is going to sign for the vet minimum with anybody he signs with. It's not like he's going to hold out for some large deal because he can just sign for 1.2.1 million and he's getting paid the same no matter what. So for Tua, it allows him to go to his best, the best landing spot for him, and it's not about the money. He can really just go to the best team where he feels he has a chance to A, improve, and B, play, I guess. He's John Eric Sullivan. He confirmed that he's not going to retire Tua, that he spoke to his agent, and they expressed to him that he is going to play, because if he were to retire, that changes everything with the salary cap from Miami. So they already had that conversation. He's not going to retire. He is going to play in 2026. And it sounds like Atlanta might be a likely spot for him there. So that's something to keep an eye on. We'll see. Don't really care where he goes, but yeah. So that it sounds like they're going to pick up the option in his deal there. It's just like an option for like a bonus. And then this year, the cap, it'll be 55.4. So that's where we are with Tua, which again is going to play out real quick here between now and March 14th, which will be here before you know it. Real quick before I get to the last topic of today's show, everyone, shout out to everyone listening at finheaven.com. Everyone go to finheaven.com, largest Miami Dolphins message board on the internet. Also, wherever you're listening to this podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Podbean, Podchaser, iHeartRadio, and of course YouTube. Subscribe so you don't miss an episode. We got a great week of shows coming up for you this week, like a great week of shows with some special guests as well coming up this week, so be on the lookout for that. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, smash that like button. Smash it right now. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And again, before I end the show, if you send me a super chat, I will read it on the air. All right. The story that ain't going to go away anytime soon, as much as some fans, some, not all, want it to go away. Malik Willis, tied in with the Dolphins. From that Jeremy Fowler and Dan Graziano report this morning on ESPN, they put out a column with all the latest buzz they're hearing ahead of NFL free agency, which starts in a week. And there's a lot of buzz around Malik Willis, as he is the number one free agent in the minds of most people. By far, he's the number one free agent quarterback in almost everyone's eyes. And per Jeremy Fowler, who's one of the best in the business, yes, the Miami Dolphins will be interested. Per Jeremy Fowler, and I quote, expect at least 2 and possibly several teams to be involved on Willis. Miami is definitely in, a source said. Arizona is combing the market too, but it doesn't seem likely that Willis will end up in Cleveland, because those are the top 3 teams. Miami, Arizona, Cleveland. Sounds like Cleveland might be out, and Arizona's looking probably at some other options, but Miami is definitely in. He goes on to say multiple offensive coaches said Willis has a chance to be the league's best rushing quarterback, and that he has the power in his legs and arm to drive the ball to all parts of the field. One prominent offensive coach said the issue will be that you simply can't run your whole offense with him. He's not ready to handle that. So whether he can sustain a full season will be a question, but he's got a lot of ability and he has terrific character. Now, I know the people who don't want Willis are going to latch onto that second part. Can't run the whole offense. That is just one person's opinion. That's one offensive coach's opinion who didn't even put his name to the quote. Every offensive coach doesn't feel that way. And again, I know any time we talk about this, I already see in the chat, Miami can't afford him. Yes, they can if they want him. Anyone who's fooled you saying that they can't afford him is lying to you. It ain't going to be easy. It might prevent them from signing anyone else, but if they want to sign him, They can get creative. Year one cap it, first year two cap it, throw on void years. What's the signing bonus? What's his base salary? They can sign anyone they want. And they have enough money, especially if they make the cuts like Sanders and Tyrell Dotson and Al Ingold and Minka Fitzpatrick. They're going to have more enough money to sign Malik Willis if they want. And that's a football decision. That's a football decision. I know some fans don't want him. I get it. I hear you. But don't say stuff like they can't afford them, because you're just telling yourself lies to make yourself feel good, because they can afford them if they want them. Now, and I've seen, on social, I try to stay out of this. I try to stay out of this on social media, because fans get so in their feelings anytime you mention a quarterback. You got some fans who like Wilson go, I think this will be smart. He might be good. Then you got other fans who are usually more vocal. I want nothing to do with them. Don't spend any money. Screw Willis, blah, blah, blah. I'd say it's about 60-40 with the majority of the fans not wanting Willis. And that's an unofficial poll. That's no official polling here from Quinnipiac. That's unofficial polling from my Twitter timeline and how I see people talking there, and also on Facebook as well. And I see both sides of the coin here. I do. I see why some fans, it's a small sample size with Willis. It's small, only 6 starts, this, that, and the other. I totally get it. I also see the other side where, with the Packers and that in that type of offense, which is going to be very similar to what Miami's going to be running here, he excelled, and he's sort of an ascending stock at this point. And it's only 6 starts, but how many? If you take someone in the draft, they got 0 starts in the NFL. So it's like, you got to keep things in context here. So I do see both sides of the coin. I really don't feel I don't feel strongly on this one way or another, which I know kind of makes for a boring podcast. If Miami signs him, I'm like, I kind of get it. I understand why. Cool. If they don't, I'm not going to be heartbroken either. Just kind of how I feel here. Here's what I know. John Eric Sullivan and Jeff Hafley know Willis the best. And if they are true believers in him, then I think they will try to move heaven and earth to acquire him. Don't mean they will, but I think they'll try. And that's their jobs on the line, not mine or yours. Okay. So if they are in on Willis and they end up paying him, $25 million a year or on average, or $30 million a year on average, as a fan, you can be mad, you can go online, send your mean tweets and all that stuff. But here's the deal. Your jobs don't depend on this. Theirs does. So if they have that type of conviction in him, who are we to tell them no? If this was Chris Greer, you could have second guess him to the cows come home, because he and Mike McDaniel screwed this thing up for especially Greer, who was here for 20-something years, was the general manager for 9 years. He got no benefit of the doubt. Mike McDaniel, by the end, was getting no benefit of the doubt because he had screwed up royally year after year. These guys haven't screwed up yet. So you got to give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. And then if they start to screw up, then you can second guess stuff. Then you can be critical. But they really haven't screwed up yet. So, if they believe, then, okay, let's go along for this ride, see what happens. Now, Dan Graziano, he went on to put a little thing in here, too, in this report, saying that the dead cap hit from Tua may ultimately prevent Miami from adding Willis, which is kind of like duh. He went on to say that Miami could make a contract offer to free agent quarterback Malik Willis, but that Tagovailoa's dead money hit could also necessitate the team spending little on the quarterback position for 2026. Makes sense. Again, price is always going to be a factor this year for the Dolphins because of their limited salary cap space. But again, they can, if they really, really, truly want a guy, especially a quarterback, they can make the cap space. It's really not that hard. And it's easy to see why Sullivan and Hafley may want Willis in Miami, because when he was in Green Bay, nobody cares about what he did with the Titans. That's a lifetime ago in this league. When he was in Green Bay, he played 11 games. He started 3. And the team was 2-1 in those games in Green Bay. He threw 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. In 2024 and in 2025, he also ran for over 100 rushing yards each season. And with the Packers in 2024, he had a completion percentage of 74.1%. In 2025, this past year, his completion percentage was 85.7%. Many people see Willis as a fast-rising stock with significant untapped potential. So I don't know what the Dolphins are going to do. Don't get mad at me. I'm just the middleman. I'm not even the middleman. This is a report from Dan Graziano and Jeremy Fowler. I'm just commenting on it. I'm just telling you, I can see this both ways. And if they do sign him or they're in on him and trying to get him, I get it. And if they aren't, or if they go, you know what, we like him, but we're not paying more than this, and some other team blows past that, I get that too. Because I think with Willis is this. Whatever they do with him, they're not going to be tied to him for more than 2 years financially. I mean, of serious money. Like this year will have a real salary cap number to it. Next year will actually be one that's much larger. But after that, year 3, he might have a contract, but he'll have like no money guaranteed. So if they want to move on from him, it won't hurt the cap too much. Maybe you throw on a void year for very little money, which again is like nothing. Not saying I'm for that. I'm just saying that's probably what would happen there. And it's just so this is really, and here's the other deal. Even if they pay Willis like $27 million a year this year, oh my God, some crazy. Now, can you believe they're paying him that? They're still taking a quarterback in round 1 in 2027. Short of Willis pulling off a miracle and like leading Miami to the playoffs this year, where like he's our number 1 guy, clearly. They're still taking a like just because you pay Willis doesn't mean you're not taking a quarterback in 2027, like in round 1. Like I think fans also like, oh my, or I hear some fans, we're going to win too many games with them, and then we're going to be picking like 17th. Have you looked at next year's schedule? We're not winning too many games with Malik Willis. We have to play the AFC West, the Chiefs, and probably with our luck, we'll have to play them with Mahomes. The Chargers, who are really good, the Broncos, who are in the AFC title game. And, if they didn't have their second string quarterback, probably would have won the game. And even the Raiders are going to be, much improved with Mendoza there. Then you got to play the NFC North. The Bears probably going to kick our ass. The Packers probably going to kick our ass. The Lions probably going to kick our ass. And the Vikings, all depending on who their quarterback is, probably going to kick our ass too. And oh, by the way, then we have to travel to San Francisco. That ain't looking good. Cincinnati, who beat our balls off this year in our building, is coming back to our building. And oh yeah, then you got to play the Bills twice and the Patriots. Like, we're not going to win too many games with Malik Willis. Okay, they might be more competitive in those games. They might sneak out an extra win or two if they didn't have them. But this whole notion, we're going to sign Willis and we're going to be like a 500 team. I just don't see it happening. It's just more to have competent quarterback play, and because and here's the other thing. Well, I know a lot of Dolphins fans say just play Quinn Ewers. A, they don't want to hand him a job. B, they didn't draft him. Everyone who drafted Quinn Ewers is gone. Well, you might like Quinn Ewers, and they're going to hold on to him because he's cheap, seventh round rookie contract type deal. That don't mean they love him. Because if they loved him, they would have took him in Green Bay maybe, but they didn't. Not that they were the general manager or had any power. You get my point, though. You get my point. So we'll see. Well, listen, here's what I'm going to tell Dolphins fans. Don't get in your feelings and don't get worked up, because no matter what they do with Willis, it's not stopping them from taking a quarterback in 2027, and he's not going to be your long-term answer unless he pulls off a miracle this year. And if he does, then he should be happy because that means they won a ton of games. So it's only win-win at the end of the day. Don't get all worked up over anything with Malik Willis, even if they sign him. Real quick here at the end, the NFL Scouting Combine. It's right now it's Sunday at about 6 o'clock. It's kind of winding down here. And I know on Monday I think the offensive linemen still have to do the bench press drills, but for the most part, the combine kind of ends today for the most part. In this upcoming week, we're going to have a lot more draft talk and coverage. I know a lot of other podcasts, they start this stuff right when the season ends. I think it's a little bit early, in my opinion, and our thought process here at this website and this podcast has always been, we'll get into it as we get closer. When we get past the combine, at least, because that's when you got raw numbers. That's where we, you start getting stuff. And, some guys are kind of locked into like a draft range, so to speak, when you get the official height, the official weight, the official arm length, the official hand size, and all that good stuff. So this upcoming week, and here's the deal. I have a ton of guests lined up already, confirmed for between now, right throughout the NFL draft. This week, we'll start with a couple guests and started putting our toe in the water for draft coverage. We still got to get through free agency first, so I don't want to ignore that. And like I said on the show, there's going to be a lot of contracts being restructured, guys being cut. But we're going to start to dip our toe in the draft water because this is probably the right time to do it. It's not too, because when you do it too early, it's just reckless speculation. Right now, you start to narrow things down a little bit more, at least, and get a better idea who some guys are and who they're not. So be on the lookout for that this upcoming week with some draft talk. A couple, just big picture, from 1,000 miles away, a big picture view thoughts on some takeaways from the combine this week and from the upcoming draft overall. Number one, at quarterback. There's a couple sleeper quarterbacks that you can probably get early in day 3, which means round 4 or later, that might have potential to be okay in time. Okay. Now, again, if you're taking a quarterback around 4, 5, 6, or 7, you have no intention of those guys ever being a starter. You're looking at guys who might be a long-term number 2 quarterback. But there's a couple guys that you can get, I think, probably around 4 or 5 in day 3 that have a lot of potential, that need to be coached up, need some refinement. That I would not be mad if Miami used a day 3 pick on. And I'm going to talk about that more as we get closer to the draft. There's a few guys early in day 3. That's my first takeaway at quarterback. Number 2, this secondary is a deep draft. This secondary is a deep draft in the secondary, both safety and corner. To the point, it's so deep. I know if you look at 99% of the mock drafts right now, they have Miami either taking Jermon McCoy out of Tennessee at pick 11 or Mansour Delane out of LSU at 11. And I get it. They're both sensational talents. Probably by far the best 2 corners in this draft. And if Miami took either one, I'd be totally happy and fine. With that said, I think they should consider the position scarcity game, meaning other positions aren't so deep. In a pick 11, if I get, and I'm just making this up, and I'm not saying him specifically. If I get the number 1 tight end, then when it comes around 2, I can still get like the 5th best corner, and the drop off at corner between 1 and 5 isn't going to be huge, but the drop off at tight end between like 1 and say the 3rd might be huge. So the secondary is just so deep. There are so many good corners and safeties, guys who have blazing speed, great in coverage, and check a lot of boxes as total athletes, which you kind of need these days in the secondary because it's a lot of guys chasing down really fast wide receivers. You need athletes there. And there's a few guys that have very good position flexibility who can play on the outside, play in the slot. And some guys you can also play safety. You can put them as a total chess piece. So the secondary, if you need secondary help like Miami does, good draft to find secondary help. And I expect Miami to come away with not 1, but at least 2 players from the secondary in this draft. And if they came away with 3, I wouldn't be mad with that either. This is a great secondary draft. Number 3, I think where Miami has 4 picks in rounds 2 and 3, I think rounds 2 and 3 are a sweet spot for Miami to find a wide receiver and a tight end. Okay. I think wide receiver in round 1, there's one I really like, and there's one I kind of like. But I think rounds 2 or 3, that's where you can find some guys who I think can come in and contribute right away. I think tight end as well. Rounds 2 or 3, if they want to look for a tight end, there's a more than a handful of guys with, again, 1 pick in round 2, 3 picks in round 3. You can find guys at multiple spots here who can help right away. And I think those are the rounds where I think you can get at least 1 wide receiver, 1 tight end there out of those 5 picks. And that doesn't stop it from adding an edge rusher and an offensive lineman and a corner, with 5 of those first 90 picks they got. But so I would look for wide receiver, tight end in rounds 2 or 3, not rounds 1 at all. Because I think round 1, you're looking at something else. So we'll see. I'll say this too about the offensive line. If the right offensive lineman falls to them at pick number 11, jump all over it. With that said, with those picks in rounds 2 and 3, I think that you can come away with a very good guard. I'm not sure you're going to find an offensive tackle, but here's the deal. If they're not going to move on from Austin Jackson this year, they don't need to find an offensive tackle for this year. It's more about finding someone who can start a guard to replace James Daniels, which is funny because you only played 3 plays. But I think there's a lot of guys in rounds 2 and 3, whether it's guys who are true offensive guards or guys who were offensive tackles in college but are going to play guard in the NFL. I think day 2, second round, third round, you're going to get a guy who can probably come in and start day one at guard because there's a lot of big, nasty boys who can play guard, I think, in this draft as well. This draft isn't like a top tier draft from elite talent standpoint, but where it's deep, it's deep. Secondary, interior offensive line, wide receiver. It is a deep, deep draft. And those are all needs for Miami. So I think if Miami's smart, don't let the draft come to them type of deal. I think they'll get a lot of good players in those first 90 picks where they have 5. After that, you're throwing a dart. Let's just be honest. But 5 of those, because the top 100 is where most people make their bones in the draft. So, 5 picks in the top 90, I think you can come away with a starting offensive lineman. And even if you don't take one in round 1 or even round 2, because I think those 3 picks in round 3, you still can get probably a starting guard if you're the Dolphins. And also, I released a couple weeks ago my mock draft 1.0. Probably Monday night or Tuesday, I will release my mock draft my post-combine mock draft 2.0. So be on the lookout for that. I got a lot of high praise and, positive feedback from my mock draft 1.0, which I'm not used to. Most people think, oh, I don't agree with that. I got a lot of positive feedback. Hopefully I'll get more positive feedback with my mock draft 2.0, which will come out either Monday night or first thing Tuesday morning. All right, we got a super chat here from our good friend Idleman12. Thank you, Idleman12. Draft Green. Okay, we got some typos here, Idleman, but I think I know what you're saying. Draft Green, he's talking about Talon Green. Sign Jimmy Garoppolo to compete with Quinn Ewers. And if Achane is traded, draft Michael Washington at running back. The Green one's interesting. He's a polarizing player. The kid out of Arkansas. He ran a 4.37 as a quarterback, which is insane. He can throw the ball a country mile. He's just not refined as a quarterback. I get why some teams are going to fall in love with him because he checks all the physical boxes. And again, if Miami took him around 4 or 5, not going to be mad. Just know he ain't going to see the field anytime soon at quarterback because he needs a lot of work. And yes, he looks the part, but as a quarterback, especially in the NFL level, he needs a lot of work. So I'm not against drafting him. Wouldn't be my first choice, but he's, like I said, day 3, first part, he's one of those guys. First part of day 3 who are going to be in the mix. If you took him, not going to be mad. Jimmy Garoppolo is who I think you meant there. Yeah, because you can probably get him for an incentive laden $3 to $4 million. That's what he signed last year with the Rams. He signed for $4 million or just under $4 million. And if he played and all this stuff, then he could make up to 13. I think he took 3. He didn't throw a pass last year. So needless to say, he didn't get any incentive. So yeah, you can get him for $3 or $4 million to compete with Quinn Ewers. Absolutely. And if they trade Achane, I'm sure they'll add a running back. I'm not sure they're going to be looking to draft one because they will have Jalen Wright and Ollie Gordon already on roster, relatively cheap. So I don't know if they'll draft a running back early. Maybe if the right guy's there late. Yes. And I know Michael Washington did have a good combine as well, so I know why he's very popular right now. So yeah, thank you for the super chat, Idleman. All right, that's all for today's show. Hope everyone enjoyed it. We'll be back with shows all week. I know Josh has an interview lined up. I'm working on a couple special guests as well. Like I said, we're going to get into the draft a little bit more this week, and I'm sure there'll be more Miami Dolphins news and a few rumors regarding some guys who might be released or who might be traded coming down the pike. Because right now it's March 1st, March 9th, a week from Monday. And if you're listening to this show on Monday, a week from today, legal tampering period starts at noon Eastern. You can start talking to players and agents officially, which we know has already happened. But you can talk to them officially and start coming to – they've agreed in principle on a deal. That's where you see all that. Then when you get to Thursday is it Thursday or Wednesday? Either way, when you get to the 11th, that's when you hear they've, signed officially. So, yeah, we'll see. Let me say that again. Check us out on social media at Dolphins Talk. We're on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, Threads. Make sure you're following us on all the social media platforms. Check out the website, DolphinsTalk.com. Simon Clancy wrote another great article about Talon Green. Check that out. Who else wrote something? I know We got something from Simon up. We got something from Jason. We got something up from Brian as well here the past 24 hours or so. And I know Chris Oliver has written something that will go live later tonight, I believe. So, and Simon also wrote something as well about Reuben Bain and some other guys at the combine from earlier in the combine from like Thursday, Friday. So Simon's got a few things up. So yeah, a lot of great content up at the website. And we got a few mock drafts up from what people are saying who, they think Miami might be taking. It's a mock draft. Take it with a grain of salt. Don't take it too seriously. So go to DolphinsTalk.com and check all that out as well. And wherever you're listening, make sure you're subscribed to the podcast. Everyone have a great Sunday night. Everyone have a great Monday. We will talk to you again after a while. And please don't forget when you're on the road driving around that we must put an end to highway profanity.